The NBA Finals are underway, and we are here for episode 18 of the Before the Buzzer podcast. It's Monday night. We're here with the boys, Cheyenne and Alex. How are we doing on this Monday night?
Pretty good, pretty good. Sadly, the finals is 2-0 right now, but it's okay. It's in the script. The Corgi got it right.
Hey, it's been a good series so far for my predictions. That's all I'm going to say. I feel my ego's boosted, but yeah, let's start. Let's go.
Yeah, so Boston obviously jumps out to the 2-0 lead in the series, picking up the first two games. Game one, kind of a blowout. Game two, a little bit more close, especially towards the end there. Maybe a controversial call towards the end. Might talk about that. But point is, Mavericks made it interesting down the stretch, but Boston ultimately pulls it out. Shan, I want to start with you here. You picked the Mavericks. What's kind of gone wrong for them so far? I know Kyrie Irving, bit of a disappointment so far in this series. Would you say that he's the reason that they're not performing as well, or is there something else that's holding them back right now?
I wouldn't say it's just Kyrie Irving. I just think it's the entire way, in their entire offense. I mean, the Celtics defense is so good, and they kind of have Tatum playing on the big, so he could kind of prevent all those lobs. And then they basically switch everything, and they can do that. They have the personnel to do that. I mean, they're playing. Luka got his, but the first game he only had one assist. I think Boston would live with that. Boston did live with that, and the second game they did. The Mavericks did a lot better, but Kyrie Irving needs to show up. He can't get outplayed by Drew Holiday, who always is open in the little, just in the paint. He always cuts to the basket, gets an easy layup. In game two, he did that like 10 times, and they scored every single time. So they just need to do something about the offense. Like the defense, I don't think it was that bad either game, really.
I mean, to
Well,
be fair,
Alex, you picked Boston in this series. You were impressed with
pretty
their
comfortably,
defense throughout. And what did you see out of their defense specifically to shut down Irving and pretty much anyone not named Luka Doncic for the Mavericks?
Well, as we saw in the OKC series, he really struggled against Jalen Williams, right? A bigger, more physical guard, stronger guard, athletic guard who can hang with him and really make him work for his points. Boston have like four guys who can do that, and that's the beautiful thing with this Boston defense, where they're equipped to guard Kyrie. They're really equipped to slow him down and make him work for his points, as he has done. And especially with the psychological aspects of Kyrie wanting to go back to Boston and prove himself, that he's going to take some of these bad shots. He's going to want to have those big moments. You see him talking to the crowd, engaging with the crowd, trying to shut them up. But he is being shut up right now because of it's a beautiful defense. I mean, when you see what Drew Holiday is guarding him, he just can't get anything. There's no space. I mean, it's incredible to watch. And then on offense, I mean, Drew Holiday's been immense of just thriving off of other people's aura and their energy, right?
Wait, you say aura?
No,
Yes. I mean, I remember Tatum got the ball in the low post, or there's the mid post or low post, and then Drew Holiday just cuts behind them, and it's just an easy just bounce pass finish. I mean, Drew Holiday was 11 for 14, I believe, from the field. I mean, it was just basically up cuts. Like it wasn't really tough shot making or anything like that. It was just smart basketball plays, and just making the experience that he brings, the championship experience. And it's insane that Milwaukee traded him in retrospect, considering how their season turned out with Dame and how he was a bit of a disappointment in comparison to what they hoped. Seeing Drew Holiday now go to their biggest rivals in the East and probably win a championship, it's fair to say, it's got to sting for them.
If you look at every trade Boston made this offseason and over the past couple of years,
yeah,
clap it up, Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I mean the Porzingis trade is insane too because
they got 2 first-round picks too.
Yeah, if you think about Marcus Smart, right? Drew Holiday is basically a better Marcus Smart in the sense that he's more consistent. He's a smarter offensive player. He makes less stupid decisions. He's less ball dominant compared to Marcus Smart, who sometimes takes weird shots. Yeah, better defender at this stage in his career. Marcus Smart obviously depoyed, but that season last year, he was a bit weird. He didn't seem to be 100% Marcus Smart. So getting a better version of him while adding Porzingis, who's a complete nightmare for Dallas to guard. They have nobody to guard him. He's too big for guards to on him. He's too fast and too good a shooter to put bigs on him. It's a terrible matchup, and he's just going to work off the bench. And hopefully he's okay. You see, he'll tweak himself at the end of game 2. But yeah, he's been immense. I don't know what you do if you're Dallas, just because there's no real guy to put on him without sacrificing rim protection or just baskets inside, because that little mid range he has from the elbow is just, he can't guard it. He's huge and he can shoot, and it's amazing, honestly. Yeah, it's been. I think the crazy thing too is that this game was probably the game that Dallas needed to win this game, just because Celtics they shot 10 for 39 from three, so just about 25%. They really struggled the whole game. I remember JJ Redick in the first half saying, "There's no way they shoot like this again." They did shoot again like that in the second half, and this was the game because the formula to beat the Celtics is hope they don't shoot well and then just grind the game out and just take over in the clutch, right? And they almost got there. They almost had that great comeback when they were down 14 and they got it down to 5, and then the Jared White block. But it was an insane performance. Insane. It was a weird game, I think, overall, in my opinion. And I think there's no way that Dallas wins the series from here. I just don't see it.
Well, I want to focus on one player in specific here. Jaylen Brown, really impressive through the first 2 games. And it's not only, his performance on the offensive end, it's his leadership and stepping up on the defensive end. I mean, that strip of Luka and the breakaway dunk to fire up the crowd, like that's championship basketball right there. That's taking on the responsibility of being a leader on the team. I know we, hark on Tatum to do that, but Brown is saying, I can do it too. He's taken on this responsibility. What have you made of his contribution so far, and has it surprised you at all, Alex?
I think it didn't surprise me at all because you've seen this whole last couple of years. You've seen this the whole playoff run. He's not just like a number 2 to Tatum. Tatum is a better player, but the great thing with their partnership is that they've been together for so long and they have this great chemistry that they know when the other person isn't really feeling it, and they can change their role and what they do on the court to fit each other. So when Tatum's struggling from shooting from the field, as we've seen in the series, Jaylen Brown can just step up and he can just take that responsibility and be the offensive guy that they need sometimes. And likewise the other way. It's a great partnership, and he's really showcasing himself to the national audience now. Everyone always used to talk shit on him like in the last 2022 finals when it was like, oh, he can't dribble with his left hand. But you really see the maturation in his game and then him as a player, where now he's in the experience, he knows how to win in these situations, and this whole team knows how to win. And he's a big part of that, of course, him and Tatum.
All right, Cheyenne. Alex said there's no way forward for the Mavericks in this series. I know you picked the Mavericks in 6. Still in play, by the way. Mavs in 6 is still in play. But how do you see them moving forward now, heading back to Dallas? Obviously not an encouraging start to the series for them, but still a lot of life left in this series. How do they move forward into this Game 3, which is pretty much a must-win for them?
Well, I expect their role players to step up at least a bit more, because both games they could barely hit any threes as well.
They look scared. That's the thing too. They look scared to shoot the three. The confidence and the swagger is just gone completely from the North. Like Maxi Kleber's passing up open shots. Obviously, he tweaks his shoulder and he's back. But when your role players who are on the court to shoot, don't
Jared
shoot.
Jones Jr. had a devious air ball.
Yeah, he did. And the whole lob threat that they had with Gaffer and Lively just gone out the window this series. I think they've attempted 2 lobs the whole series. It's insane, right? Considering how dependent they are in that action and how elite Gafford and Lively have been in the postseason. I mean, there were points that when Gafford was the number 1 option on offense, where they were just going to him in the post and trying to get
crazy.
It's insane. That's the level they were getting to, the Dallas offense, where your role players, as I said, you can't keep this up. Eventually, you're going to regress to the mean. Eventually, you're going to start missing shots that you were making before. It's natural. It's how basketball works, right? These guys aren't perfect. And it was just bound to happen at some point. And I think in Boston Garden, in the finals game, eventually it made sense. It's going to come down to earth. And now the real challenge is, can they do anything at home? Was it American Airlines? Mm-hmm. Yeah, American Airlines. Yeah, when they're there, they got to really step up. They really need to just make their shots and be confident, because if they're not, then they're done. I mean, they were down by 29 in the first half of game 1. There is a big talent discrepancy that everyone just ignored going into the series. I think that's something that really everyone acted like, oh, because you have the best player that they're going to win. That's not how basketball works. It's a team game, right? And it was very clear the whole year that Boston had the best team in the league by far, and people kind of just forgot that because of the weaker competition they faced. And yeah, again, it's an awful matchup for Dallas. I mean, if we had seen Denver and Minnesota in this stage, I mean, it would have been a lot more competitive. I think it's a bad matchup all around for Dallas.
I mean, I think that the talent discrepancy when you look at the whole roster is certainly there, but when Kyrie Irving is pretty much a non-factor at times, it's difficult for
But it's
Dallas
the
because
matchup, right?
it's
That's the whole matchup thing.
yeah, but Kyrie Irving, let's be honest, you can throw whoever you want on him. He's a tough shot maker. I mean, you could play perfect defense.
Yeah.
He's a guy that you could play a perfect defense the whole possession. He's still going to fade away on you or hit a tough layup. At some point, he's got to be, a veteran in the game and step up. I mean, we're smiling in press conferences after we're down 2-0. Like he's got to take on that responsibility and out of the game. I feel like
The thing with Kyrie's offense, I think, is that it doesn't really come in the flow of anything else. It doesn't really come as a result of other things. It's more of just him going iso ball, trying to take people off the dribble, and that works. But if you're going to that every possession, if you're going to that consistently against a team like Boston, who's so elite defensively and have such a great defensive system in place, you're not going to get. It's not going to be efficient. You're not going to maximize the efficiency of your possessions. You're just not going to get the same baskets. You're not going to get the same threes, and especially with Boston's approach to not letting any corner threes happen, just completely taking that out of the picture. Like it's inevitable you're going to be forced to live with these tough shots if you're Dallas and if you're Kyrie. And it's just he doesn't seem to make his teammates better in the sense of his offensive ability in the way that like Luka does. And obviously that's a big bar, right? But he needs to be a playmaker like he was in the OKC series if they have any chance of really making things happen and getting even winning a game in this series. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, to get going, I feel like they have to get out in transition more. You mentioned Boston's ability to play in the half court defensively, taking away those corner threes and really stifling their pick and roll, which has been kind of Dallas's bread and butter throughout this playoffs. But we've seen Dallas have success getting out in transition. I mean, Kyrie sometimes is like LeBron, where he's a one-man transition. He doesn't even need anyone else to get to the rim. But do you think that could be something that unlocks the offense and helps Dallas just put more points on the board and not be so Luka reliant?
Maybe so, but the thing is, a lot of transition offense is forced by half-court defense, right? And getting softs on that end, forcing turnovers, etc. And I think that the Boston offense is so methodical and it's so elite at just getting good shots and just getting good possessions that I don't think Dallas is going to be able to force enough turnovers, personally, especially with how weak their defensive backcourt is. You're not going to get the same steals that Boston is getting. Like Drew Holiday, I remember in the fourth, it was like, I think they were up by, it was like 5 minutes left or something, but he forces a turnover on Luka, where Luka just like flings the ball up, and then Jaylen Brown comes down, Derek White comes down, takes the ball, and then there's like a 2-on-1, they get a basket. And like, it's just plays like that, which Dallas just doesn't have the defense. I mean, he doesn't have the perimeter defense. They don't have it with the guy like Luka, who for all of his, he does have some good plays here and there defensively, but he's not a stopper, and he's not someone you want to rely on to get stops and to force the action necessarily in defense. And Kyrie never has either. So overall, it's a bad matchup. I think it's just they probably, the only way that they're going to win a game is if they just go nuclear from three, or Luka puts up like 60 a game. In my opinion, 60 in a game. Like it has to be that insane for them to have like a good chance of winning a game or even taking the series.
Cheyenne, thoughts on Dallas's ability to adjust here, going back to the Big D?
Yeah, I just think it's hard to also. I think it's also hard to get in the transition because Boston shoots so many threes, so there's so many long rebounds that they sometimes come up with that gives them so many second chance points. Like everyone on Boston's out here getting another rebound. Like Drew Holiday had like 10 rebounds the last game. Tatum's been averaging like 10, 11 rebounds per game. But I just do think Kyrie and the role play, Luka just needs help, honestly. And I don't like that on defense.
But what kind of help do you think? What kind of help do you think he needs? Do you think offensive help, defensive help? What kind of players?
He needs both, ideally, but
I mean,
he needs offensive more. I mean, defensively, they haven't been like terrible.
Like,
well, he needs guys to hit shots too. I mean,
yeah, that's what it is.
When you're hitting shots, that opens things up offensively, right? They're forced to come out a little bit more and respect your 3-point shooting ability when you're.
But the thing is, they're playing them pretty straight up. I think they're playing Luka pretty like 1-on-1 straight up, just letting him, just trusting in their defense, trusting in their defensive players, and like they're playing good defense. I mean, Luka's getting tired up there, even though he's putting up great stats and he's putting up a good efficiency. I think he was 12 to 21, which obviously that's pretty good shooting. But he's getting tired. He's getting worn down by the defense, and that's what you want because that means on defense.
And also, when Boston's on offense, they get Luka on defense every play. I hate how Dallas is just chill with like
No,
switching
what's their choice?
because
I mean, they
also
have
it's
to.
like
Then they get
some of them
exposed.
it's not even like they're setting like a hard screen like they have to switch. It's like it's just like a little someone just comes up, they just automatically like switch no matter.
I mean, that's
Like
how
some of these they
basketball
don't
works.
have to though.
Like
No, some of these you don't have
in
to,
the
bro.
NBA, you can. That's like you kind of have to because you just they'll just take you off the dribble. Like you kind of have to, especially with guards. It's just normal. Like they're not gonna. You can't do that with Luka. I don't think you can't just not switch because then he's just gonna get caught because then they're gonna go downhill on him and then he's just gonna get attacked. Like for me personally, I just think like I don't know. I mean, I think for obviously like offensively, you need more shooting, but where does the shooting come from? That's the problem. Like taking away the corner threes just killed Dallas's vibe and just killed their shot making ability because when you're taking away their favorite shot, they're unable to really they're not in the rhythm of things anymore. And especially with the free throw shooting too, I think they shot
Dude, they
16
missed like
24.
7 free throws.
Yeah, but that's the whole postseason has been like that. This is nothing new with them. We know who they are. But this is a team they struggle to shoot at the line, and you need to be able to hit free throws, especially down the stretch, especially when games tight. I mean, they lost by what? They lost by 7. They missed 8 free throws. Like
Well, the
it's
free
kind of
throw
crazy.
shooting has been horrible for them all playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, problem that you can't miss free throws in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
It's just that you have to get when you're in a championship scenario.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, this game isn't happening again, I don't think, from Boston. This was their bad game because Boston this season have had these games where they just shoot terribly from 3 and they just lose. It's just these weird losses where their team, they're so 3-point dependent that when it doesn't go in, it's bad. And this was the game. Like Tatum struggled. They couldn't hit their shots. Like Luka started off amazing, by the way, too. Like he was on fire in the first
Like
quarter.
20
I mean, I thought
points
it was
and
gonna
like
I thought it was gonna be a prime Luka game, like a Hall of Fame, like a Jordan level thing. And he still had a good game, but regardless, it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't this insane performance that we maybe hoped. And this was the game if you're Dallas, and I think you're gonna really regret this going back home. If it was 1-1 going home, I mean, this is a completely different series. But down 2-0, I don't think they're winning 4 out of 5. And I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't go past 5 games.
So we talked about before the series about how Boston has been there. They've been in the Eastern Conference Finals. They made a finals, but it feels like something was missing. Like they didn't know how to win yet. And we said, Boston was probably going to have a game or two where they struggled to shoot and they probably end up losing that. But good teams find a way to win when they're not hitting shots and not everything's going well for them. Alex, is that maybe the difference this year between this team and Boston teams in the past where they have guys with the maturity, with the veteran presence that step up despite them not hitting shots like
Jaylen
Brown
better too.
Up.
Like they're all just individually better than they were. Like Tatum's a better player than he was 2 years ago. Brown's a better player than 2 years ago. Holiday's an upgrade on Smart. Porzingis is a completely different option. Like White is better than he was. Like all these players have improved. Even the bench players like Hauser, Pritchard. Even though Pritchard is being kind of borderline unplayable in this series.
He hit that half court
He
shot.
did. That was
the momentum changer.
Yeah, that they went into.
It was a 5-point game, bro. Before that.
Yeah, and it was 8, and that really changed the vibe. I mean, hey, Boston loves their white people, and he gets them hyped. That's what he does. But before that, he was 0 for 7 in the series, which is kind of insane. Like he's really struggled to shoot the ball, and really be effective out there. But he's still been good. I mean, like this is a team that they find their ways to win. And even when Tatum really
it's
struggled,
different than Boston in the past. They've found ways to lose in big games, and now they're finding ways to win. Even last series too. Against Indiana, they didn't play their best, but they still found ways to win.
Yeah,
that commonality is transitioned into the finals as well, which is why I do feel like maybe this is the time for Boston to where they finally figured it out, and that learning how to win process has finally matured, and now we're here. I mean, you mentioned it is a pretty new roster overall because you add guys like Drew Holiday, Kristaps.
It's a great mix, I think.
Guys off the bench stepping up, but it is kind of a culmination of these past couple of years with Boston. Now they reach this point to where don't play their best and still end up winning. How big of a concern is that, Cheyenne, for Dallas, where you weren't able to grab this one where Boston wasn't shooting so well?
Nah, bro. This one was a gut wrencher, dude. Like, because Dallas started off so well, and even like towards the end of the game, like Boston always had like an 8-point lead, and it seemed like Dallas was trying to hit hit a little comeback. It seemed like Boston always had a play that like killed the momentum. They had like Dallas had a turnover, Boston had a steal, Boston made a timely three, like the Derek White three, the little deep one with the shot clock running. They just have like these like killer plays that kind of kill all like the momentum. It seemed like Dallas was having, and yeah, having. So it's just really tough. They needed that game because Boston shot terribly from three, and I mean they needed, and it would have been so good to just steal one on the road. That would have boosted them up so much confidence in them. And they just
There is
needed
such a
it.
difference in having that 1-1 split and
Yeah.
you know a 2-0 lead. So much pressure on Dallas in game 3, obviously.
Because it leaves some room for
pretty
error
much
in the
over.
following games. Now it leaves no room for error. They need to win the next 2 games.
100%.
Yeah. I mean,
Quick question. Chris, you have something to say before I propose
No,
this?
go ahead. You're good.
Tatum hasn't, been that great throughout this series. You guys have a Finals MVP through 2 because a lot of people said, "Oh, well, Jaylen Brown got
Jrue Holiday.
Conference Finals." Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, just Jrue Holiday. I think he's been
worthy
the
of this
defensive
Finals
leader of the
MVP.
team. He's been guarding the best player on the court on the other side. He's had the big offensive games. He's been overall the best player. He's been the most impactful player, and I think he won't get it because that's not how the media works. If it's gonna not be Tatum,
I mean,
it's gonna be Brown.
we've seen guys that
Yeah,
aren't
but
the main guy get it.
the thing is, Iguodala was just that was like the reset where it's like, okay, we're not giving it to
He
the
was
role
only
players anymore.
LeBron.
Like, let's be real. Yeah, exactly. I mean, giving to Jrue Holiday, I think it would be deserving so far, but I also don't think he's going to continue to do this offensively for the next 2 games. He's going to, score a little bit
Jrue
less.
Holiday has always had that one game a series where he like goes crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not going to put up the same numbers, which is fair. Like, he's not his job, right? Like, he just stepped up for Tatum today. Well, not today, Sunday, but yeah, I think it's probably Jaylen Brown or Tatum. It really depends on how Tatum plays next couple of games. If Tatum finds the shot, it's going to be Tatum just because he is the superstar of the team. He's the best player. And I think that's fair. I think regardless, I don't think it really matters who gets it because this duo is going to be, present in the conference finals for the next. I mean, it's kind of insane how much experience they have in the postseason so far, right? I mean, since they pretty much come into the league, they've been going into the conference finals like almost every year.
Like 6 or 7 seasons straight. Like,
yeah, I mean, even as a rookie, they
insane.
almost beat 2018 LeBron. But that's insane when you really think about how like weak that team was, and they still hung with a guy like LeBron, just purely like out of grit and out of like, like just trying to do shit. You know what I mean? It was yeah, and I think this is they have a real chance to build something special here and to really we could really see like a mini. We said this last year about Denver, but I really think there's a dynasty potential here where you can keep those 2 guys together and build the roster out and build it out with good picks and keep making smart moves like Brad Stevens has been doing. He really makes something happen there and really keep this going for a long time and make Boston like the team in the league.
By the way, how crazy is that? We went all that time talking about the finals. We mentioned Tatum like 30 minutes in. Like that's crazy. Just tells you, how good of a roster overall this Boston team has. Cheyenne, do you have a Finals MVP so far? What's this? Oh, hold on. You got to talk so that it shows
up.
Yeah.
Last time a team was down 2-0 in the final. I was just showing you guys, but last time a team was down 2-0 in the finals,
Chris
bro.
Paul's
we know
on
what
the team,
happened, bro.
The Celtics
they have Jason Tatum, bro.
Who's your Finals MVP so far?
Jrue Holiday.
Jrue Holiday. I mean, yeah. I think it's more likely to end up going to Brown just because he's more, as Alex mentioned, he's more of the superstar there. And that would be certainly interesting. A lot of narratives would be pushed about, you could even see it on you could even see it on ESPN today. Is Jaylen Brown the best player in the Celtics? Who knows?
Dude, I don't know how Tatum's favored to win Finals MVP already.
I think it's projected based on just him being the best player coming in. I mean, it's probably swayed away from him from the original line, but he's still at the end of the day is viewed as the number 1 option. And this series is still young. We're only 2 games in. Who knows what could happen down the stretch, but I think we've exhausted our finals talk. So let's get to some not so breaking news. I woke up in the morning to see what was going to happen, and I saw the breaking news. Wasn't pleased with the breaking news. So over the weekend, Woj just hits us with a random like 5 a.m. Woj bomb that apparently the Lakers have been talking to Dan Hurley for a while now and working out a deal here to bring Dan Hurley to LA. There was a whole thing, Hollywood Hurley, about him maybe coming to coach the Purple and Gold. A lot of rumors about what the contract was. I was actually underwhelmed when they actually announced the contract. Someone said 100 mil was being offered. It ended up being 70 mil. But ultimately, it was kind of drawn out too. The decision was supposed to be, Sunday, ends up being Monday. It's supposed to be at 12 p.m. Eastern, moved to 2 p.m. Eastern. I think Hurley was genuinely thinking about this decision, but
I don't think he was. I think it was a contract. He was trying to get his money from UConn, bro.
Maybe there's
He's
a lot
to get paid.
There's some rumors.
It was never going to happen. I told you guys this when we talked about it. It made no sense for him. The Lakers job is a sexy job on paper, but right now with this roster construction, it's a terrifying job because you're having to deal with a pretty toxic environment where you're having to deal with LeBron edging his leaving. This might be all his final year. I might be going soon, kind of thing. So you have to deal with that in the locker room. You have to deal with a really flawed basketball team that hasn't been able to compete for a while. A toxic fan base.
Whoa!
No, this is true.
For a while, it's literally been 1 year since they've competed. What are you talking about?
They're not going to compete for a while.
You could say, as presently constructed, you don't think they can compete, but that's not true that they haven't.
Okay, that's when okay, fine. They're not going to compete in the near future, I don't think, with the roster they have, unless they make a massive move and completely switch up their roster. There's no way, personally. They're too flawed. So, I mean, I think that's part of the reason too. Where this isn't like an exciting young Lakers team. Like this is a team that doesn't really have a sense of direction or a sense of future, where everything's up in the air with LeBron and like what he's going to do, and your kind of future is dependent on that decision, and then what you do afterwards with AD, etc. And I think it was the UConn situation is amazing, where he's given pretty much complete autonomy over that team. He's able to recruit who he wants, play who he wants. He has complete control over his players' lives, and it's completely different being a college coach and an NBA coach. And I think I've seen him the whole year UConn. I'm a UConn fan, and like you see how he's meticulous and he detailed. He loves like building details. Being having control.
You think that he could translate to
yes,
the NBA?
I think he could. But I think if there's any team that's not the Lakers, because in the Lakers you have no control because of the outside pressure and all the, especially with LeBron there too. Like, let's be real, LeBron is going to have a lot of influence over your decisions and over what your bosses are telling you to do. Right?
Do you take any stock in the fact, though, that LeBron respects Dan Hurley? Because there's some
doesn't matter. He's still LeBron. Okay.
Guys that, he probably wouldn't respect as much as Dan Hurley.
See, he respects him as a college coach, but if you really think he respects him, the only reason when he talked about Hurley, he was saying that he ran an NBA offense in college. He was saying that he ran an NBA offense in college. That wasn't like, he wasn't saying, oh, this isn't like a basketball mastermind or anything. It was just, oh yeah, he's running an NBA offense in college. That's how you should do it. It's like he does actual spacing, etc. He wasn't saying, oh, this is like this amazing coach. He was just giving him some respect. And he was just saying, okay, he's doing this properly. I don't think LeBron would necessarily respond as well to being coached by him because like he's LeBron at the end of the day. Like he isn't gonna exactly just let a college coach come in and start like, what's he gonna do? Fucking make LeBron run? Like if he misses practice? Like at the end of the day, like this is complete, especially with LeBron. Like if you had a young team, you could probably make it work and you could definitely figure that out. But the Lakers are not constructed to rebuild as they are right now. They're constructed to try and win, even though they can't. And and I just don't. It worked out for all sides, I think, because I think Lakers showed out candidates that they were looking like. They showed JJ Redick, hey, your job's not safe. You really got to want this. If you want this, James Borrego, etc. Hurley can go out to UConn and say, hey, I turned down Lakers money to come here, stay here. I want my bag now, And it's and he's one of the best. He's the best coach in college basketball, I think, by far right now. And they have an amazing recruiting class as well. They have McNeely, they have Mahoney from St. Mary's, they have some other guys too. They have some guys returning from last year. Like they're in a great position to really compete next year. And it's why walk away from a chance to really make history and be an elite college coach. Like getting 3 in a row would be unprecedented in modern times. It's like Wooden, right? So that would be Yeah, so like if you have a chance to really establish a dynasty, I think you just take it. And I think NBA jobs are going to be there in the future for Hurley because he's that special.
Okay,
Coach. He's only like 49.
question about the NBA jobs before we go to Cheyenne and the future of the Lakers head coaching search here.
Yeah.
What job do you think comes open that he'd be willing to take? That would be a better situation than the Lakers. Like, look,
Literally any situation in the league is a better situation.
Boston.
I mean,
though, but Boston's not going to come open. Is what
yeah, I know. Okay, so is that what you were saying? Like, what next couple years?
Like the most ideal situation, I think.
Okay, I think the most ideal situation would be a young team in a smaller market where you can really fit into the underdog mentality. If you look at UConn, his whole brand is there. Like, no one really wants us to win. Like, we're here to fight. We're here to, upset some people. You know what I mean? And that's kind of
okay. That's true. But to act like
so
UConn
I think
hasn't won is kind of
when he came in there, remember when he came in there, they were struggling. They were in the American,
but they've also won like 6
yeah.
championships in like 24, 25 years. Let's pump the brakes.
They had 3 championships. They had 3. No, they had 4 championships.
Or 4 championships.
Yeah. But the thing is, at that
6,
point, they were really struggling because they were in the American. They were really like an average team in the American. They were really they weren't the same team. Like that 2014 team was a bit of a weird one where it was kind of a anomaly with like Shabazz Napier. I think they were like a 9 seed, right, or something. But that was the year where they was like really randomly won. But like since then they were really struggling, and like Kevin Ollie was fired. They had it was overall just a weird situation. He was this young, unproven coach from like Rhode Island, and he came in there and really changed the culture. And I think he's a culture setter. And I think the Lakers, you can't really set a culture because of how big the brand is and how like unique the Lakers are. You can't really go in there and really make it your thing because it has so much history and so much intangible like aura, for lack of a better word, to it. You can't go in and change the Lakers way. It's the Lakers way. And so for me, I would like to see him in like a team like Charlotte or something. Like
I'm telling you right now, Dan Hurley's not going to Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's just like that right now. Like the way they're constructed with these young, promising players.
But at that point, why would you even give up like coaching?
Well, this is assuming in a few years that like they're in a better, that they've won more, and there's nothing really for him to do at UConn. Like this is in the future. This isn't right now. This is in the future once he's achieved everything he wants to achieve at the college level. Because there's limits to what he can do at the college level.
I mean, there's not that much more he can achieve. I mean, at this point,
win 3 in a row, like
legendary status. He's chasing like
he's also very young too.
College coach
like,
of all
plenty
time.
Of times. So, yeah, exactly. So he has to get top 5 all the time. He's still getting towards that level, and I think give him a few more years, he can definitely reach that. And at that point, it's like, well, let's try something new. And I think going to a young, unproven franchise that doesn't have much history, where you can really get the young players behind you. Maybe Chicago would be a good one too, even though it doesn't really fit the franchise mold. Just it's without any direction, where you need to set a culture, you need to set some foundations for the future. He shouldn't be going to a good team. He needs to go to a weaker team and really build something, because that's what he's great at. He's a program builder. He did it at Wagner. He did it at Rhode Island. He's done it at UConn. And that's, I think, is a perfect fit for him. And I think he's an amazing coach. He's going to coach in the NBA one day. It's just a matter of when, in my opinion.
Yeah, Cheyenne, as one of the resident Laker fans on here, I want you to look at it from the Lakers' perspective and where they go from here and what you made of the whole Dan Hurley fiasco.
Dude, I felt like I was getting like baited the whole time. Every single report, it was like, oh, he was really wowed by Rob Pelinka. Oh, he really liked that meeting. And then the decision was kind of sad. I was pretty hyped for this. I was like, the Dan Hurley era.
The decision everyone had the graphics ready.
Yeah, the decision, bro. And the UConn troll tweet is like, our scheduled practice at 2 p.m.
Yeah, like back for our regularly scheduled practice. So where do you think the Lakers go from here then?
Dude, I don't even know where the Lakers go. Like, they've waited so long. Most of like the coaches are already taken up. Like, I feel like they're just gonna go with like JJ Redick, unfortunately.
Can I give my opinion on what I think is gonna happen?
What? Go ahead.
If this is LeBron being a player's coach,
no, it's not.
That's not happening.
I would love that personally. I think it'd actually be amazing for his legacy in terms of like separating him from like a Jordan. If he really wanted to do it, I think he should do that. But what I think is gonna happen is I think JJ's gonna walk away from the deal because I think he's so young and needs so much time to really develop himself as a media personality. Like he's gonna make he can really. I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and Brian Russillo was talking about how when you're a media personality. No, I should give. Of course,
Alex would listen to the Bill Simmons podcast.
It's great, but he's like my honestly, he's like a big influence in my life. But since I was a kid, bro. So that's like okay, that's a long story, but pretty much you're saying like media when you're a media personality, you can really like he could really build his own brand and really make tens of millions. Like I've seen him out of money by being in the media space and being as talented as he is. I mean, he has the thing with LeBron. He has with ESPN. He can make his own podcast.
I mean, he's like
he's good. Yeah,
ESPN for the NBA Finals.
Yeah, he's doing the finals. Yeah, he's like 39 or something. And that's the thing. Like, there's no rush for him to take this job. It's gonna be other. If he wants to coach, there'll be opportunities down the road. Right now, he has the chance to do something special and really develop himself, and to really set up his family. Like even more than NBA money. Like he's gonna have. Like it's.
I mean, he's
like,
got
you know
good
saying?
money.
Like,
set up his family.
Money's money. Like, and I think
I
the Lakers.
get that. I was gonna talk about that with Dan Hurley after you're done.
Yeah. And I think like there's no rush for him. So I don't think he's gonna actually end up taking the job. He might get offered it, but I think he's gonna turn down at this stage in his career because I don't think it's the right move for him personally, and I don't think it's the right move for the Lakers either. They shouldn't do it. I think Borrego is the Lakers coach. I think it's a great fit. No, I
would drop to my knees in a Walmart.
He's my opinion. I think it's a good.
I would drop to my knees, bro. I can't. No.
Okay, why? He showed good potential in Charlotte. I mean, he was like.
No, he didn't. He didn't play their best player for half the season.
LaMelo isn't good. I don't know how we have to talk about this.
What do you mean?
He doesn't play defense. So in the clutch, he would get exposed.
On Charlotte, there's no one good, bro. He's their best player.
They were winning games. They were a playing team with a very weak roster.
And ever since he missed all the time with the injuries, they fell. Like it's simple as that.
I mean, he still got them to be a playing team.
I mean, that's the real thing that happened. Okay?
That was LaMelo Ball.
Bridges was suspended for a year. That's most improved player candidate. Miles Bridges beat his wife. Let's like that's what happened. Okay, but the thing is with Borrego, right? He was in New Orleans for a while with AD, so he has a close relationship with AD. AD's talked about him before, the impact he's had in his career. I think you shouldn't be looking for a LeBron coach. You should be looking for an AD coach to bring the best out of AD.
Oh yeah, LeBron has made that clear to the Lakers. They should be looking for an AD coach.
Exactly, and he's that guy. He's the guy that's going to make AD the superstar that LeBron needs him to be, because LeBron can't be the best player on the championship team anymore. It has to be AD in this iteration. LeBron has to be a second option, like like Bird was, and they didn't win a ring these years. But Bird at the end of his career, even though his athleticism faded, he was still this amazing playmaker and connector in like 91, 92. And I think that's what LeBron needs to be if he wants to win a ring again. He can't be the best player. He has to be a guy who does a little bit here and there, still have these big nights, but overall is a connector. He's still not the number one guy. At that point, it was like Reggie Lewis and I guess old McHale, but for the Celtics. But I think AD needs to be the future. Like you need to, if you want to compete, you need to build a team around AD in terms of coaching and a situation for him to succeed. And I think Borrego is the best guy for that, especially because he's like the only real candidate with NBA coaching experience. Like JJ Redick's cool and shit, but he hasn't coached an NBA game. He hasn't even been on the bench for an NBA game outside of playing. Like it does matter to an extent, even if it isn't that important at the end of the day. Like being a coach, like there can be little things that he won't have noticed as a player that he's going to know as a coach, and he just needs to be an assistant first, in my opinion, for a couple of years and then move up. But also, Darvin Ham, Bucks assistant coach.
All right,
no.
How
are you feeling about?
No, I'm not talking about that.
Good for them.
It's a great move for the Bucks.
I never have to talk about Darvin Ham ever again.
Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham on the Bucks bench. What could go wrong?
That's a nasty duo. But all right. I want to unpack this whole thing here. I'm going to start with Dan Hurley. Obviously, I was very excited when I first heard the news that the Lakers were pursuing him. I feel like this was really strange. I know there's a lot of theories that Woj and Dan Hurley set this up so that Dan Hurley could like get an extension. It was really like weird how this all came together kind of like very quickly. And then there's like a whole decision thing on Monday. Like, I don't know. It's a little strange.
That's stupid, yeah.
They had like the police there. They had his wife there. You know, like, all right, well, whatever. But so throughout this whole reporting of this, there's been talk of Dan Hurley eventually wanting to reach an NBA level. So it was interesting to me when people say, you know, oh, well, Dan Hurley can just stay at UConn and win all these championships. He has it all set up there. And I mean, that's great. But if he eventually wants to reach an NBA level from that standpoint, it's hard for me to envision that things go perfectly and he's just going to get the perfect opportunity down the line. Because, I mean, how much higher can his value really get? I
Is
know
this
he
a
could,
perfect job though?
I
Is the
know
Lakers a perfect job? I mean, is it
it's
like
not a
even a good
perfect
job
job,
really? Like
but I mean, when does a perfect job come up when you look at
never. Like, there is no
exactly?
such thing as a perfect job. And like the Lakers job is such a bad job. That's the thing. Like outside of the Lakers name, if this was any other franchise, it would be a terrible thing. Wouldn't
I'm
it?
gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. All
Okay,
right.
go cook,
Um,
go cook.
so so in terms of Dan Hurley, I don't really see how his value can get much. I wish the Lakers would have offered more money, but I don't see how his value can get much higher than a back-to-back. Because if you look at what he's done in this short time frame, I mean, it's almost unrivaled. You could look at this UConn team of last year and say that is one of the best college basketball teams like of all time.
For
So
sure.
I don't really understand the people saying, "Oh, well, he can make more money down the line, or he's gonna get an even better opportunity because he's gonna be even viewed higher." Like he's already the best coach in college basketball. His value will never be high. This is already a weak coaching market overall. I don't see how he could ever get more more money or a crazy better opportunity. Now, if you look down the line for Hurley at maybe opportunities that might come open, I disagree that he'd go to a small market. I think it's more about staying on the East Coast. He's an East Coast guy through and through.
Charlotte, Charlotte.
Uh, I think I think Philly would be an intriguing option. I know they have Nick Nurse, but they could be hasty in making a decision there. I don't think New York's going to come open. Brooklyn, maybe. Would he go? I
He
think
wouldn't
that
go to
might be.
Brooklyn. I mean, actually, yeah, he could go to
I
Brooklyn.
could
I mean,
see it. I could see it.
yeah, I
But
see it.
if you really think about it, how much better can you get than this opportunity here? I don't
Much
foresee.
better.
How is it much better though? Because
In what sense?
the money is not going to be like crazy
No, the
better.
money's going to keep getting better because coaching salaries they keep increasing. I mean, that
I
Monty
get that.
Williams
I
deal
get
just
that.
completely
But
changed the landscape.
in my opinion, Hurley's value can only stay the same or decrease going forward unless he were to win, two national championships in the next 5 years or win a chip in the next 2 or 3 years. And, that's hard to do. The odds of them three-peating are very low this season just because of how hard that is to do in college basketball.
Yeah.
So I
I
don't
mean,
see
I think he doesn't need his value to go higher because coaches he's gonna get paid no matter what. Like his value could be lower, but he's still gonna get paid because, as you said, the coaching market is pretty weak, and he is this
No, I'm just
exemplary
saying
coach that we all know.
this year was weak. You don't know in the future. Maybe the coaching market's strong in
For
3
sure,
years.
yeah. But again, there's not many like national championship coaches, back-to-back coaches that are going to be on the market.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Like, that's the thing. Yeah,
back-to-back
he's always going to
now.
have value. Like
He won the back-to-back right now. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
I feel like
he's going to
high
keep. He's going to get. He's going to get offered these jobs like in the future. Like that's the thing. He's going to be offered more NBA jobs regardless of how the UConn
will he ever be presented the opportunity to not only come coach for a historic franchise, but to have the ability to coach LeBron and AD for 2 years, and then once he move on from them, he has the flexibility of 4 years to kick in a rebuild, get that next contract, and he's set. I mean, I don't understand.
Who wants to coach LeBron? Like, do you really want to coach LeBron though? Like, is that? I mean, he's a great player, obviously, right? But in terms of being a coach for him at this stage in his career, you're not really a coach. You're just like a babysitter because he is such a elite guy.
I think there's an understanding. Dan Hurley carries a little bit more cachet and command than Darvin Ham. I think there's an understanding.
Yeah, but do you think LeBron cares? Like respectfully,
I do think LeBron cares. I think LeBron has showcased that he respects Dan Hurley more than some NBA guys, maybe even more than some guys they're already interviewing. Now that Dan Hurley is off the table, but that's a good transition to the Lakers side now because I think there's a problem here with the ownership. I understand you have concerns with the roster construction, but I'm actually more concerned with Rob Pelinka's boss. There's something with the Lakers.
The bussy.
But it seems like the aura of the Lakers, way is starting to decline. I actually have a quote here from the late great Kobe Bryant. And he's talking about players, but I think it also applies to coaches. He says, "It takes a special person to want to play for this franchise and take the pressure that comes along with playing for this franchise. The pressure following Magic Johnson, myself, and the dynasty that we've had. It takes a special person to do that. And if I need you to convince you to come here to carry that legacy forward, then you ain't the one to do it." I think that's been kind of lost. The fact that it's a privilege to put on the purple and gold. The fact that this is arguably the most historic, the most, at least in the modern century. You take out the 60s with Boston. You could argue Boston, Lakers, whatever. This is, the most premier franchise in the NBA. One that you take pride in playing for, in coaching for. And it feels like the Lakers have got to the point where I don't know if it was because they hired, some suspect coaches. I don't know if it was because, they've been running the operation a certain way. It feels like they've lost their mystique. It feels like they've lost their aura to where they've become kind of a joke in terms of ownership, management. And I don't know if I can trust higher up them to make the right decisions going forward. Cheyenne, do you see that in any way with any problems of the way that Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka are running the Lakers? I know we've had concerns of how Rob Pelinka is building these rosters, but from an ownership standpoint, it just feels like things aren't right up top. What do you make of the way that they've been run and the way that this all played out? I mean, you could even say they were cheap with Dan Hurley. They could have gave him more money. They could have signed Ty Lue a few years ago. I don't know. Just a lot of strange decisions. What do you make of how they've run the team?
Jeannie gotta let go of Rob, man. Dude, he just made too many bad decisions. I just don't think she's gonna move on from him just because he was like Kobe's agent and all that. I think that's what she's holding on to. And that he's just been here for a while. Like she supported him hiring Luke Walton, doing the Westbrook trade. There's been nothing shown, very little signs of Rob Pelinka being a great GM. I mean, he made the AD trade, fair play to him, but that was the obvious trade. It was written in the script from the beginning, it was gonna happen. But it's just that, dude, there's just been so many bad decisions, and they've gone through so many coaches. They're just going through coaches like every other season. And at some point, it's
I feel like
Can I give my
they
opinion on
tried
this?
to go for
Why
Dan
I
Hurley,
think-
right? I mean, Dan Hurley was supposed to be the stabilizer in all of this. Didn't work out.
Exactly. But it's also
there's
so much a coach can actually do as well. If you have a bad roster, you're not going to win. I don't care how good your coach is, unless you're Eric Spoelstra. But
Can I give my
none of these
opinion real
guys
quick?
are Eric Spoelstra. No, I'm playing. Go ahead.
You're so silly, Cheyenne. Okay.
He's so goofy.
I think it's the LeBron effect. I think after LeBron has come to the Magic, to the Lakers, when Magic is there, right?
I was about to say.
I was tweaking for a second, but I was like, the fuck. But we've seen this constant ineptitude in the front office outside of that one season, the bubble season, where I think LeBron has so much influence over the ownership, over the front office, over the fans, over who's coming. You don't go to Lakers games to watch the Lakers anymore. It's more about watching LeBron, and that's part of the blessing and the curse.
I mean,
I think the casual fans they see it's LeBron jerseys.
There are
It's
casual
LeBron.
fans, but this is also the one thing that hasn't declined in all of this is the Lakers fan base. They have
sure, yeah.
in the NBA,
But I think the casual fans,
diehard
the people
fans
that have the money to go to the games.
they're LeBron fans. They're not.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
You're bringing LeBron fans in there rather than Laker fans. The LeBron fans. People are coming there to watch LeBron rather than the Lakers.
There are a lot of
I
Lakers
think
fans.
a good proportion.
I
of course.
the fan base.
But I'm saying when it comes to the fan base and when it comes to the people coming to the games who are paying a lot of money to go to these games, they're LeBron fans. They're tourists, right? And I think they want to see LeBron play. And I think if you look at the front office, LeBron has so much authority over that too. He has so much. Look at the Russell Westbrook trade, right? That's LeBron's fault. That's set back them. That shut their window for competing. That trade completely just shut it. And if you look, there's the ownership as well. LeBron's gonna have a good amount of control over the ownership, and what they do as well. It just seems like LeBron kind of runs a franchise, and when a player runs a franchise, you're never gonna win, as we've seen.
I don't know.
With
Clutch Sports runs the franchise. Seems like behind.
yeah,
LeBron's.
exactly. It's even worse.
Yeah.
He's a player. They're doing something, but yeah, and that's bad too. The links, you have to be your own independent organization. You can't be a puppet basically for an agency. That's just it's not. Especially when you the Lakers too. This isn't Charlotte or something. This is a proper respected franchise. They deserve to have their own way. And I mean, basketball is better when the Lakers are competing. I know I talk shit, but at the end of the day, when the Lakers are relevant and playing well, it's better. And I think when you have overall, I think when LeBron's there, you're not able to really reset the culture and reset the Lakers' way. You're kind of in this state of we need to win now because we have LeBron. We need to compete because we have LeBron. But you can't reset your culture and fix this without LeBron, with LeBron being there. And if you draft Bronny, that's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing thing, in my opinion, because it's just showing like a guy's son is getting like it's like one
Well,
guy's
I
more
mean,
power over the team.
teams have done, similar things. Giannis has his brother on the team. I mean, that's not.
Yeah, but they win, and they're Milwaukee. This is the Los Angeles Lakers. They shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to do this shit. And also, that's like at that point, like Giannis was an ascending superstar. Thanasis was a good NBA player. Like he was. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll
All
take that
right.
back. He was an NBA player. Like he wasn't like complete ass. Like he's not a great player, but he's not like a bum either. Like with Bronny, you're talking about a kid who averaged 4 points a game
He is a
in
bum,
the USC. Like, yeah, but
I wasn't
he's not,
even disagreeing with you, but now that you're trying to hype up Thanasis, like,
okay,
come on.
fine.
No,
He has his moments where it's like, okay, I kind of see it. But regardless, that's a young superstar who's like an MVP in the league, all that stuff, ascending. He's going to be in Milwaukee for a long time. Why not sign his brother? With Bronny, it's like he can leave in 1 fucking year. He'll leave this offseason. Like, it isn't like he's locked in for the franchise. He's not locked in with the team. He's he's using them again. He's using himself against them where it's like, if you want me, get my son. Look, Giannis wasn't doing that. It was like a preventative thing ahead of time. And he already signed the contract. So he was already happy there. But, like, personally, I just think it's overall, the Lakers are a shit show. And I think that they really need to move on from LeBron at some point. Whether that's next year or something, like, until LeBron is gone, you can really form an identity. You have to, completely switch up and just change and build a dynasty like you did before. Even if it's going to be some bad years, like the late Kobe years and stuff like that, you just need a reset.
Well, they had those bad years, and then they traded all of those guys away.
And they won a ring. Like they won a ring.
They won a
It
ring.
worked out.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
It was a good trade. They won a ring.
It was a great trade, I think, especially considering how the players have turned out.
I don't think this ownership is the right one to do it. We've gotten to the point where we are banging our head against the wall over and over and over again because we have people in the front office that just can't make the right decision. I mean, they make a good decision and then they throw it away by making.
What do you think they should do in the offseason? The front office. What do you think? What would you, if you could, like, as a dream situation, what would you like lay out?
So
like, okay, what direction do you think they should go in?
First off, we have to preface this: is this with LeBron or without LeBron? Because I'm not opposed to no LeBron.
That's up to you.
I'm not opposed to no LeBron, but
That's what you think. That's what you think.
I think this is a
do
very
both. Do both. Do with LeBron, without LeBron.
With LeBron, like you said, you're kind of limited here with what you can do. I know they've talked about Markkanen, but I think they have to.
They're looking to trade for Markkanen.
There's been rumors about.
I mean, for who? Like, what would you? What would it be like? Rui, and then what?
Like Rui, maybe Reeves, couple picks, whatever. I think they have to break up the backcourt. I think D'Lo
sure.
probably gone. I wouldn't be opposed to getting just a guy that can be a point of attack defender more in the one role. Doesn't have to be a great scorer. And then the Vanderbilt
like 2020 Avery Bradley.
Because Vanderbilt isn't a guy that has to start, but he's a guy I think they need. So he's a guy that you can play in spots. I don't think he has to be the start at the 4. I think they do need a stretch 3-and-D guy. I don't know where you can find that on, in free agency. That doesn't just.
Would you bring back Tommy Prince?
I would, but he can't start. I mean, he's got to play the limited role. If they give him the role that they gave him in the playoffs,
LeBron's going to be the 4, right? LeBron's going to be the starting 4. And then AD is the 5. Just because of his body, like his build. He's 40 years old. Like,
yeah, a 3-and-D wing. Anyone that can. Like if they were able to get an OG, I know they're not going to be able to. I'm saying in a
caliber. Okay, they don't exist. Like those guys, they're very hard to get. Exactly. I know he's going to get like $40 million a year.
It's a tough spot, but I will say, Rob Pelinka has one more chance. All right, he has the 17th pick here. He has to nail this pick, or I think he's done. Because
I don't want another Jalen Hood-Schifino.
What more does Rob Pelinka have? Like in his bag, there's not much. I mean, we've tried to let's go out and trade for a third superstar and sign all these minimum players. He sucked at signing the minimum players. They all stunk.
We've tried strategy from the start. It's never going to work. Like it was just very clear at the time. Like
we've tried that.
It doesn't work.
We've tried all right. Let's run it back with this roster. That didn't work either. We've tried we had a championship roster, but we can even upgrade with all these players taking discounts, and that didn't work either. Injuries affected it, but that didn't work either. I don't know what Rob Pelinka can go to. So I've been of the opinion that they should have got rid of Rob Pelinka earlier than this, but If I were in charge, if I were in charge, then I would get rid of everyone in that building. But Rob would have to go. Jeannie probably have to go. And I think you're kind of limited when you factor LeBron into this. I wouldn't go trade for a third superstar. I would, like I said, maybe you bring in a Caruso and you bring in a 3-and-D guy to play through, see how that works, because you need more defense on this team. Their offense was not that bad last year, and they just could not get a stop against Denver, especially towards the end of the game. And that really limits them. You can't get out in transition. You can't utilize LeBron's best attributes when you're just getting stopped every single time you're forced into a half-court set and saying, all right, LeBron, we don't even have an offense. Let's just give you the ball and figure it out, That's what they've been. That's what they've been for the past couple of years, and it's frustrating. But I'm hopeful that a clean sweep reset can help, get rid of some of those demons. But I don't really know where the Lakers go from here, to be honest. I think that LeBron, of course, is the main domino that has to fall, and we'll see what is available past his decision. But it's like you said, it's really just dependent on LeBron. Everything about this organization since LeBron has come here has been dependent on LeBron.
Exactly.
Now,
yeah,
that's been a commonality throughout LeBron's, career. But is that best for what the team is now? I don't know. I don't know if LeBron is what is best for the organization moving forward. But we'll get, more details about that as we go into the coming weeks. Quick transition, Shane. I know you got to go soon, but we'll get into the mock draft a little bit here. Alex did make us a mock draft, so check it out here. Quick little early mock draft. Draft is in a.
Can I share it to the thing or what?
Yeah.
Or I can just read it out if you want. Or...
No, I can.
There we go. No, I got you. I can share.
You got it?
Okay. You see?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, here's this my updated one right here. It's very minimal. It's not the nicest looking screen, but do you see it?
It's a little blurry on my screen.
It's blurry.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh no, you had it. It just had to load in.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so a few notes here. First of all, Klingon at number 1 is a very weird pick. He's not a number 1 caliber guy in any other draft. I like him at number 1 just because he's a sure thing. You know exactly where you're getting out of Klingon. I think he could be like a Rudy Gobert type of player. Obviously not Rudy Gobert. At least not, we don't think so. But a similar kind of rim protector, guaranteed shot blocker. He's going to be able to score around the rim a little bit. He's going to be able to finish, play good defense. He's huge as well. He was insane at the college level. You know what you're getting out of him. I like him at number 1. I wouldn't be surprised if we see OKC trading up to get him at number 1, just being like, fuck it, just here's all our picks.
I will say, are you at all concerned about some of his limitations offensively? I know he's not a horrible player on offense, but at the number, are you a little bit concerned about that?
I feel every player in this draft has limitations, like a ton of limitations, that you really don't know what you're getting with anybody. And I think he's the closest thing to, okay, even if his offense doesn't develop, he's going to be a legitimately good basketball player. He's going to have a long career in the NBA. He's going to be competitive. I feel like in the number 1 pick, if you're OKC, you can live with him not being a great offensive player because you have so many options around him. Where like if you can give us like 20 minutes a game, great rebounding, great size, great shot blocking, and maybe every so often fill in for Chet in the like closing lineups depending on matchups or whatever. Maybe even play alongside Chet. Maybe go with like a big lineup against like a Minnesota or a Denver or something like that. But I just think that's a good move. And even if the Hawks keep him here, I feel like that's a good fit too. But where if you want to maybe keep one of Trey or DeJounte around, you could he'd definitely be a legitimate guy up next to him. Probably got Kongwu and Jalen Johnson next to him as well. I feel like it's a good pick. I think if you're trying to just get
hold on before you finish up here, Cheyenne's gonna head out.
Okay, God bless Cheyenne.
Say something so that you can. All right.
W pod with you guys.
Hey, any thoughts on the mock draft before you head out?
I mean, everyone saw from March Madness. I don't really know anything about college basketball, so I'm gonna take his word about it. But I do think he has some Spurs bias, though. I think he's trying to more, cater towards like
some
the
good
Spurs
players
getting the good picks,
here.
Bro.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is a very good draft for the Spurs, I must say. I was very happy making this. Same with the Kings too.
But Bro, wow.
But yeah,
the rest of it should be chill. I mean, hope you all
yeah,
enjoy it. Bye.
hey, the Shifty King, Rob Dillingham going 6. How do you feel about that, Sean?
Were
Next
you
to
Rob
LaMelo.
Dillingham going?
Oh,
6
No,
to the
bro. Why?
Hornets.
No,
Hey,
bro.
LaMelo plays well next to good ball handlers and to other scorers too. I think it could be a good fit. And I think
What do
the
you
Hornets just
mean?
need
Who
talent.
are you talking about? Who's he playing next to?
LaMelo, he's playing. I mean, next to Rozier, he was good. That's part of it too, where we see he can thrive next to other ball handlers. And I think they just need talent at this point. And I think Dillingham is the most talent at 6 for what they need. Like they don't need Topic, you know. But yeah, I'll talk about it more in a minute. But take care, Cheyenne.
Enjoy yourselves.
God
Bye.
bless. Yep. Okay, is he gone?
yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll go through number 2. We have Alex Sarr going to the Wizards. This is a pure upside pick. Alex Sarr, very weird in the Australian league. Kind of been all over the place. He's a bench player. Moves amazingly, but he just seems to have a lot of flaws, especially offensively. He kind of plays kind of soft. Doesn't finish very strong. Kind of struggles with using his offhand. But the defensive potential is amazing. He moves so well. He's so fluid. So athletic. So I think with the Wizards, you just got to take him. He's the best guy available, I think, at this spot. His upside is probably the best in this class, especially out of the guys going in that kind of top 5 range. So I would definitely take him if I was the Wizards. I also wouldn't trade the pick if I was the Wizards. I think you just got to get someone here. Just take the pick, even if you don't necessarily love it. Just get a good player and throw him to grow alongside Koulibaly.
Sarr's the guy that, at least to me, has been a little bit of a mystery throughout this whole process. It's a guy that people had at number 1 for a while. As we move closer to the draft, it feels like people are kind of moving off him at that 1 spot. But like you said, a lot of these guys are kind of throw a dart at the dartboard and see what happens. But the size and skill presents itself as a good opportunity here for the Wizards at the 2 spot to just, as you said, acquire more talent and continue to build.
For sure, yeah. And then next we have Reed Shepherd going to the Rockets at 3. I don't love this pick necessarily because I don't think Reed Shepherd has an insane amount of upside, and I think he's someone who could get defensively hunted in the playoffs, as we see with other guys of his size like Kyrie, Peyton Pritchard on the Celtics. Like guys of his build don't seem to really be effective in the postseason.
It feels like you're comping him to people that look similar to him.
I compared him to Kyrie Irving. Okay, I don't think that's fair.
You make it sound like he's like Austin Reeves for real. I mean,
no, but okay, but there's also parts of it too where he came off the bench most of his year at Kentucky. If you can start Kentucky, should you really be going top 5? But this draft, it's kind of just throw anything at the wall. I like him. I think he's a great shooting potential. I think he could really be a great dynamic scorer. I like him as a player, but I just don't think. I feel the Rockets is a good fit too, but I'm be surprised if somebody trades up to get him at 3. Because I think the Rockets don't really need the 3rd pick. Maybe they do a trade from a Cal Bridges or something, and they give the Nets the 3rd pick. In which case, this would make sense for them. I think a good young guard to build around next to Cam Thomas and Claxton, whatever you get from the Rockets. But yeah, I think Reed Shepherd, it's a good fit, and I think it makes sense because nobody else really makes sense for the Rockets at 3. It's a weird position for them. Next, we have Brizier to the Spurs. He's a pure free and D kind of guy, catch and shoot. I think of him as a high floor, low ceiling guy where you know what he's going to be, but his star potential isn't really there. I like it for the Spurs because I think they just really need shooting next to Wemby. They need guys that can just hit shots and can just space the floor because they really struggled with that last season, and it really puts a limitation on a guy as dominant as Wembanyama. And I think Brizier is that guy, and I think he could really provide. You know what you're getting out of him, and I think in this draft class that really matters.
And in the league, I mean, 3-and-D guys are not only guys that are coveted, but I mean they're guys that are paid too. So to get a guy,
he's a big guy too.
That knows his role, plays his role well. I feel like that'd be a fit for the Spurs if it all works out.
And I think definitely you could probably use that as a replacement for Keldon Johnson. You could probably move off of his contract. Maybe try and bring someone new who fits the team a bit better. Maybe try and compete. But I think this is a great thing for this. If they would get him at 4, it'd be a great move for the Spurs. I don't know if he'll drop that far, but he definitely, I think, could, and I think it'd be a great landing spot in San Antonio. Next, we have Cody Williams going to the Pistons. Pistons, I have no clue what they should be doing. They have good kind of young talent at every role position outside of kind of the wing, where they have Lazar Thompson, but he's obviously a very flawed player at this stage. His jump shooting just isn't there. His overall offense just isn't there. Then they have that really talented backcourt with Cunningham and Ivy. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade this pick just because they need to win at some point. Like, it's getting a bit embarrassing for them now. They need to compete. They need to build a winning roster. And I don't think Cody Williams is going to do that right away. But the long-term
No,
upside is great with him.
Cody Williams is a guy that you have to trust the upside because at Colorado, he was not great. But there's a lot of, optimism that he can develop into a really good player just because of the measurables that he has. But I would be a little bit concerned with the production in college. I know that, NBA guys don't like to make a lot about, how a guy plays in college, but there has to be some concern with his lack of production there. And like you said, the Pistons kind of at, a point where they got to eventually not even make a jump to a good team, just make a jump to an acceptable product on the floor, So I do agree this could be a spot where they trade out the pick, but not a huge fan of Cody Williams, in my opinion.
What do you think of him as a Pac-12 guy when you saw him against ASU, for example?
So,
what did you see out of him?
They have more talented guys on the floor. He doesn't really jump out. KJ Simpson, a guy that I feel like maybe a little bit undervalued in this draft. He's a guy, a lot of skill. I think he actually went back to college. And then De Silva, also a guy that has been kind of mocked in the first round area here.
Yeah, like Lakers range.
But he's more experienced. Williams, you could tell he's a young guy. A lot of length. Pause. Hold on. Gotta hold up both hands for that one.
What?
He's good measurables, is what I'm gonna say.
Hey, what? Nah.
Come on, bro. That was not that bad.
I trust you. I trust you. Don't gotta show me.
Ideal NBA build. I think that you could build, with him being a long-term piece, but I would not trust him to give you anything, in the next year or the second season. He's a guy that you kind of have to build.
Well. Yeah, and it is that is a weird fit for the Pistons because they took a guy like that as R. Thompson last year too. So that's kind of I don't really know what to do with that pick, quite frankly, because the next few guys, they're all guards. I don't think they would fit either. You see, with Dillingham going 6 to the Hornets, already kind of touched on this. I think the Hornets, LaMelo Ball is not your franchise guy. I don't think, and I think at some point,
I disagree with that, but I
don't think you can compete with him as your guy. I think they need a superstar, and I think Brandon Miller and maybe Dillingham can be that guy. But I don't think LaMelo is really I don't think you're gonna be a winning basketball team with LaMelo right now as he is. He needs to develop in defense, and he needs to develop some better finishing at the rim before he gets to that level. As funny as LaMelo is, you see him driving on the fucking go-kart on the roof.
Oh my gosh! Well, that driving on the roof, driving through red lights, driving through kids out over kids' feet.
Yeah, that's insane. He's like a little kid. Like this is your franchise player. This is your $2 million guy.
We've seen LaMelo show some leadership. I know they had that season we were talking about earlier where they did make the play-in tournament.
And he was getting benched in the clutch.
I don't know. I still think that LaMelo is a good player. They gave him a max contract, so that process of not having your franchise guys got to be pushed, 2 years down the line. But I do think that Brandon Miller is also a guy that showed some real, promise last year, and you could maybe project him to be the next face of the franchise. So I think that interesting pick here with Rob Dillingham. I don't know if he was the guy. He's the guy that I would pick here, but for him to fall to 6, you definitely have to look at it for sure.
Yeah, in Kevin O'Connor's mock draft, he was mocked at 15. Going to
really?
the Heat. Yeah, so that kind of changed my respect to him.
This draft is so crazy.
Yeah,
no one really knows. I feel like we had guys had Rob Dillingham at 3 or 4, a couple weeks ago. Now he's at 15. So I don't think anyone really knows what.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Yeah, that's one of the best things of this draft, where it's just all over the place. And it's fun to mock. But next we have, I guess, he'd be a good fit for. Yeah, he'd be a good fit for the Charlotte too. But
so I feel like there's a lot of people that they've had to watch UConn. Focus was probably a little bit more on Klingon. Castle's a really interesting player. I think he's really good. Maybe for the viewers that haven't been able to see as much of his game, how do you describe the way that he impacts his team and really contributes to winning basketball?
I think he makes so many smart plays. He makes so many great defensive plays. He hits his shots. If we saw him against when teams were trying to get him to shoot, he would make his shots. And that was something that was really impressive, especially in the tournament. He's a winner, as we saw at UConn. He's someone he he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. Yet he can also handle the ball a bit too and make things happen. But it wasn't really his role at UConn, so we don't know exactly how that's going to translate to the NBA. But I love him as a fit on the Trailblazers because I think when you're putting him next to so many other great guys who need the ball in the hands, like Simons, Henderson, etc., like you
Simons.
want someone who's Anthony.
Oh wait,
Simons.
no. Oh yeah, I completely forgot.
Yeah,
Simons.
I forget too. But and then Shaden Sharp, like you
Man,
already have
the
good
Blazers
players
are
that.
the Blazers are so irrelevant. I forget about their players.
Like they've already guys who have the ball in their hands and should have the ball in their hands, and I don't think there's any rush to get someone who needs the ball in their hands as well. So I think Stephon Castle is a guy, you know what he's going to be pretty much, and I think there's a case he could definitely go earlier in this draft. He's number one on Kevin O'Connor's
in terms of
board.
his fit with the Trailblazers, how do you see that kind of working out? Because they do have a lot of guards. You mentioned Simons.
Yeah.
He's a guy they've already paid. Scoot they take last year maybe didn't live up to expectations, but
He's their guy.
you can't really move off of him because you took him with a 2 pick last year.
And I think you just put him at the 3, Castle. You can definitely run some smaller lineups with him. And I think at the end of the day, you're such a young team, the Trailblazers. Like you have time to figure this shit out. I think taking a guy who you know can compete and be a part of your team for years to come, and will really like he impacts winning. I think you need those guys. And I think in this draft, if you're getting a sure thing, like that's great. Even if he's not going to be an all-star or an elite player or anything, I think getting a quality starter is like that's amazing for this draft. I think getting him at 7 is great value, and I think he's definitely someone who can fit alongside those guys going forward, especially defensively too. Because I mean, hey, guys like Simons and Sharp, like they kind of need a bit of help defensively, and I think Castle can really bring that. Next, we have Topic going to the Spurs. I love Topic. He's only this low because of his ACL tear. I think that will kind of scare off some teams, especially teams like the Pistons, Hornets, and Trailblazers who have established guards.
So prior to the ACL tear, do you think he would have gone at 4, or do you think that?
Yeah, I think he was going to go at 4. And I think probably Reza Shea probably goes 5 to the Pistons. And then I guess everyone just kind of bumps down, whatever. But yeah, Topic, I think they take a risk on him because you already have a sure thing in Reza Shea. I think they can definitely get another point guard in the offseason to kind of help the transition for Topic. Don't put too much pressure on him to get, come back and be ready right away. But I like him as a player. I really think he's a really fun point guard to watch. He makes great plays. He's really unselfish. And I think you need a guy like Wembanyama. I mean, you can throw an entry pass. Like, that's all you really need with a Spurs guard at this point. If anything's an improvement on Sohan.
So if you're listening and you've never seen Nikola Topic play, this was a legendary experience watching his highlights for the first time. I mean, feels like you just like hop in a time machine and you go back to like the 60s, the way this guy plays. I mean, not saying that it's like fun to watch, but I mean, this guy, nothing in his game, the way he plays is unnecessary. Everything is intentional. Every dribble, every move has a purpose, it feels like. And yeah. I mean, he's just interesting to watch. It's very different than, traditional basketball, the way it's played today.
I think you need that next to Wembanyama, I think.
I think it's been fun to watch in the league. Don't you think? Just the way that he is, his play style.
I think it works. It works pretty well. And I think I really trust that next to Wembanyama, where you want sure things. You want guys who are going to be consistent, get the ball to the right spots, feed him, and let him go to work. I think he's a great fit.
The next guy you have is pretty interesting. He's a guy, Ron Hall, where no one really knows where he's going to go. So
yeah, he's all over the place. I debated him putting him as low as like 13, 14, and then as high as even as 5. Like his range is all over. I put him at 9 next to the Grizzlies. I think it's a good fit. He's an athletic forward to put next to Jaren Jackson, and guess Desmond Bane as well, and Ja, and like the whole roster. I think he's definitely going to get better over time. He's not the finished project. Yeah, has a lot of room to grow and really develop as an offensive player. But the physical tools are there. And I think in this draft class, the Grizzlies, again, I think they will they'll trade up. Or they'll just trade out of that pick. But I think if they keep that pick and they use it, I think Ron Holland's a good pick in that situation. And then 10, we have Jared McCain out of Duke going to the Jazz. It does feel a bit high for him. But I think he's a sure thing he's going to have a long NBA career. He's going to compete. And I think the Utah, they like guys like that. I think putting him next to Keontae George in the backcourt would be a great thing as well. Just a consistent, good defensive guy, a great shooter. Put him next to Keontae George. He's going to help. Both of them are going to develop really nicely together. You have your starting backcourt for the future locked up and prepared. And I'm only surprised to see teams try and trade for him too. Try and trade him to get McCain because he's an elite
a good
player, I
a
think.
good fit for win now teams. I feel like too.
Yeah,
Right
and
now,
I think Utah they're not like a bottom out team.
Yeah.
They like to compete. Like, I thought about putting Salon, you see at 14,
Well, I
putting him
mean,
at 10.
I could definitely see Danny Ainge just going and fleecing a team that's trying to
Yeah,
trade up for Jared McCain. That wouldn't be
for
the
sure.
first time
Yeah,
he just does something like that. But he, like you said, he could help, build a culture with a young team, or he could go to a team that's ready to win and really contribute.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then next, I have Devin Carter going to the Bulls. It's been rumored that he has a promise from the Bulls. That they're gonna take him, it isn't a great fit. I don't think, just because you have so many other guards that
Well,
kind of.
maybe they move off some of their
I mean,
cards.
even if they move off of Caruso, they still have Io and they still have Kobe White. Like, it's
Yeah.
still a crowded backcourt with not they're not superstars, but they're not bad either. It's like kind of in the middle, good to great players, where it isn't enough to like really build a team or give you direction, but it's not bad enough where it's like we need to improve this. It's a really weird situation.
Do you think that he could interfere with the development of some of those guys? I know Kobe showed flashes of maybe he could be the guy compared to the other
I
guys.
feel like Devin Carter, he can play off of other people too. Like, I don't think he's a selfish player or anything like that. Like, he's not a vacuum. I think he's someone he makes guys better, and I think it does feel weird though. Like, it doesn't sit right with me, but I think it would make sense. I guess if they were to trade, like Io as well, as long as Caruso, maybe it would make sense where that's your backcourt, and then maybe you move Levine as well. But the Bulls have been very afraid of making any moves recently, and I don't know what they're gonna do. So if they haven't mocked it, if they think he's going to 11, I'll trust them, and we'll move forward. The Thunder, next we have Khalil Ware from Oregon. No, Oregon. Wait, he was in Indiana last year, wasn't he? Not bad. I don't know why I
I
wrote
was
that
gonna
down.
say I don't remember him playing.
Yeah, It's because I think when I googled him for the measurements and stuff like that, it was in the Oregon jersey. But
okay.
but yeah, transferred out of Oregon from last year, came to Indiana. He's a really interesting big. He's a really talented player. He's a really nice shot, but he hasn't really got everything to come together yet at the college level. He was. I mean, what did you see? Did you see a lot of him in the Pac-12 at Oregon?
Not really. I think that I like the idea you have here. I feel like it's really a fit pick. I don't know.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think it's probably a little high for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I could see the Thunder maybe trading back and taking a guy like him or taking someone else.
I think I'd like to see De Silva from Colorado. I think that'd be an interesting fit.
Okay.
Putting him on that team. Like, if they were to trade down to, like, maybe they would trade the Lakers or something like that. Lakers wanted to get up and get maybe like a Buzale or something here.
Well, there's someone
or
else.
like another team in that conversation.
There's someone else
I'm just trying to think.
that's not here that I think they would want to get. But go on.
Yeah. Connect.
I'll get to that. Finish that.
Okay. All right. I got Connect fell a lot in this when I was making this.
Yeah.
These drafts and all that stuff. I was surprised Connect wasn't on it. He's on my original one, but I took him off. Yeah, 13, we have Buzelis. He falls a lot in this draft compared to what a lot of people think. I love Buzelis. I think he's a great player, and I think the Kings, they'll take a swing on him, and I think they need the upside, and I think he could be a legitimate great scorer. They could need one more offensive guy. I think, especially if Malik Monk is going in for agency, they're going to need someone to kind of saddle with the load. I like Keegan Murray, but I don't think he's like a number 2 type offensive weapon. I think he's just an elite 3-and-D player, which is obviously super valuable, but he's just not a guy you should be looking to for instant offense. And Buzelis really provides that, even if his shot is a bit inconsistent here and there. So I like that pick. I wouldn't be surprised to see, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go earlier. I think anywhere from like 5 onwards is in play for him. I don't think he's going earlier than 5, but he can go anywhere. He's all over the place to me. And then at 14, we have Salon. I don't know much about him yet. I'm still trying to figure him out. But a Portland Trailblazers Instagram account made a post about how, like, if they if they draft, like, when they draft him, like, they're gonna levitate or some shit like that. Like, it was I'll find the post later or something, but it was insane. It was like my glorious king kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That kind of vibe.
Okay.
Like the prospect of all time. So they love him. So I decided to give him to the Trailblazers here.
Okay.
Again, he's a big athletic wing, really raw. He kind of fits their timeline as well. Probably could play next to Aiden and then Kamara as well. I think the Trailblazers are kind of all over the place with their development. They have so many players in so many positions. He's a young, talented guy. He's probably going to be in the G League this year, or split time or something like that. But he's a good, talented player. Connect wouldn't make much sense, in my opinion, if they were to take him here, just because they have so many guards already that can score. But yeah, Connect really just fall in this draft. I'm trying to remember, was there anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacoby Walter as well. Fell in the
Jacoby
draft.
Walter, another good player.
Yeah.
That I think can translate to the NBA level. I think Connect is still a guy that should go in the lottery. Obviously, I'd be.
I agree. Yeah, I think talent. He definitely
If
should.
he
I
gets
just
to
can't
the
find
Lakers
replacement.
and the Lakers pass up on him, I will not be happy. But
Do you think it's a good fit? Because I think him and Reeves are kind of redundant to an extent,
Well,
like with their skill sets.
I
and
mean,
stuff.
people also have to realize Connected. I mean, you could say he's a guard, but the guy is 6'6". He's like decent size. You know, he's
a good wing. Yeah, he's a wing.
And play a little bit of defense. Obviously, not forced to do that at Tennessee just because of all the offensive load he had to take on. I think there maybe has to be a transition in this game because at Tennessee, he's the guy every single possession he's touching the ball. Probably in the NBA, not that guy, but I think for a winning team, a team that is pretty already set with their playmakers and who's going to be ball dominant, I think Connect could actually fit in very well as a pure shooter. Like you said, you aren't guaranteed much in this draft, which is why I actually like the fact that you get something with Connect. You know that he's going to shoot the lights out, shoot at all three levels. That's your guy. And I like this that he presents also. So I do think that he could also develop into a really interesting player just because of his size. Maybe a 3-and-D wing down the line.
Where would you take him if you were to put him in this draft? I think
I think he could actually be a trade-up candidate. I think a team could trade up and try and snag him before he falls a little bit further. Maybe in that 12 spot with the Thunder, maybe they try to move back a little bit. But with these teams here, I don't know, maybe Utah at 10, Danny Ainge likes him. But I think
fair enough,
probably take McCain over him. So it's weird because I don't think he's maybe top 8 per se, but he kind of fits in below that. I don't think he's a great fit with any of those teams. So that's why I do think maybe a trade up to go get him might be the move. But overall, pretty solid mock draft. Like we said, I think it's hard to really criticize anyone's mock draft just because there's a lot of unknowns with this draft. And at the end of people are lying to you if they're going to tell you they know what's going to happen or if they know who's going to be good. And it kind of sucks if you do have a first-round pick this draft. Obviously, as a Lakers fan, it's nice that we have a first-round pick this year, but we had kind of the Pelicans at a choice whether they're going to give us our first-round pick this year or next year. They give us it this year because this draft is weaker. Everyone pretty much acknowledges that, but that doesn't mean you can't find a gem or two in there, especially with the raw talents that are in this class. A lot of guys with good measurables. I'm going to say that word again. Hopefully you don't laugh this time, but good measurables. Guy like Cody Williams maybe turns into
nice and long,
With that, on that note, let's
solid size.
Thank you for watching episode 18 of the Before the Buzzer podcast. The 18 is not across there, but
one. Okay, never mind.
You gotta, whatever. A little bit of an extended break, just a heads up before next episode. The boy will not be in town to record, so probably gonna push that.
Where are you going? Where are you going, Adam? Give us an itinerary.
We're going to Hawaii next week, so
shit.
It'll be fun.
Go crazy though.
Huh?
Hey, Adam, we need to see some Adam Chadwell Chronicles. We need to hear some stories. Go get mugged outside the hotel.
All right. I will update you guys. But anyways, thank you for watching episode 18. Make sure to follow us on subscribe on the YouTube if you're watching on the YouTube. Follow us on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify. Follow the TikTok. A lot of good stuff coming from the TikTok, Instagram. And we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your finals. We'll be back. Still going on when we come back next time. But
bye-bye.
All right. Peace out.